And we have the scripted educators on tonight. And so it is a very, very exciting launch. And so we have been waiting and waiting and waiting for this book. And so what I'm going to do is ask the authors to take some time. We'll start maybe with Bruce. You're kind of in the upper corner for me. Start with just introducing yourself, who you are, and then tell us just a little bit of why you love your book so much.
Okay, got it. Hey, everybody. I'm Bruce Reicher. I'm a technology teacher in New Jersey. I've been a teacher for 25 years. And the reason I like our book so much, and originally when the three of us met, is we couldn't find a book like this. Like, we looked high and low to find a book that was updated, that would give any media teacher, any classroom teacher resources to create media. And we couldn't find one. And now I've already gotten a bunch of tweets today and DMs, like people can go to this book, to a specific page if they want a rubric, lesson plan, anything that they need is in the book to get a bunch of different ideas. So I'm really excited for teachers to get the book, and then after that to see what students are going to create with the book. And I'm sure they're going to come up with a lot of projects that we never even thought of, which is the coolest part, and to see what students can create.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Okay, let's go. I'm going to go straight down to Paula.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Paula Neidlinger, and I'm in Plymouth, Indiana. Been an educator for 28 years, and the last 6 or 7 in media specifically. Recently retired from my current job, so this is really exciting. The cool thing I think about this book is that we all met through social media, and Bruce is from New Jersey, Randy and I are both from Indiana, but none of us knew each other. So the book is a collaborative effort, and we've used social media to actually write the book. We have met a couple times in person. The book is all 3 of our ideas, things that we've all done in the classroom. So they are proven strategies that work. And that was the whole point of the book, to give teachers real world applications by just turning the page.
Very cool. All right. Randall, how about you?
Okay, I'm Randy Tomes. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I met Bruce and Paula through Paula, and I wanted to learn how to do radio. And I think the coolest thing about this book is how it integrates all the different media platforms that are out there, and to show you with just the simplest media tool how it could grow into an entire unit of study.
Yeah, that's very cool. And I love, you guys have an amazing cover. And Randy, your wife did the cover. Is that correct?
Yeah, she's right here.
Bring her on for a cameo.
Good job. Yay. Yes, it is beautiful. Cover is amazing. So absolutely love it. Well, that's fantastic. It's so great that you guys finally made it to this point. I know it always seems like such a long time coming when we finally get to the launch. So I'm so glad you guys are finally here. And so we talked a little bit already about how you met and how you wrote the book without being together. So why did you write a book about creating media in the classroom? I know you mentioned a little bit that you just couldn't find any, but why is it so important for people to understand this concept?
I mean, I could start on this one. I think the biggest thing to really do media in the classroom is all of the skills that go into it align perfectly with future skills. So doing problem solving, working with others, creativity. And there have been places that have studied what skills you're going to need in 2015, 2020, 2025. And those 10 specific skills, they fit into perfectly and to create any type of media, if it's a podcast, radio, TV. And interestingly enough, and then I'll let one of the other authors talk, is creativity in 2015, I think it was number 9 on the list. And it's jumped all the way to number 2, that's what future employers are looking for. So even if students don't eventually work in broadcast media, it doesn't really matter, because they're going to need these skills to problem solve, figure things out. And especially, when we're in remote learning, a lot of students in the future, they might not go to the office. They might be doing this, the whole time with the skills that they learned.
I'm going to add in, for me, student voice is probably important to me. I think especially radio and podcasting give students a chance to express themselves, learn how to speak publicly. Along with all of us have TV studios as well. So we've prepared them for real world applications. Most of these kids can go right into college or into a workplace and know how to operate all various equipment, and I think that's a huge advantage for students now.
And I'll piggyback on Paula's with the student voice. It's important as an elementary teacher that for people to realize that even this equipment that looks like middle school and high schoolers use, that elementary kids can use it too. And giving them the trust to use the equipment, they can do amazing things with it. So age doesn't make a difference. These kids all have creativity in them. I've got first graders creating things and going on to the media all the way through sixth grade. So I think that's important to understand that there's no age limit here.
And man, I can vouch for that. Last year in writing the book, I traveled to Indianapolis for spring break, and I was blown away at Randy's school. You see kids in third or fourth grade, they have headsets on and they're on the radio, they're on the TV, and they're doing it like nothing. It's just a routine for them to do the whole thing live. And it just shows they're obviously growing up in the digital age. I think no one has any students now, K through 12, that have never had the internet. They only have known the internet. They knew nothing. They don't know the Walkman, any of that stuff before the internet, And so it's incredible what all the kids can create.
I think it's also important for the kids to see the different platforms of their creativity. It's not just about what you see. It's also about what you hear and what goes into what they're hearing. So when they have a specific assignment, whether it's to make a second grader to make a radio tag, how is your voice going to sound when you advertise our school or advertise our school radio station? You got to find excitement in your voice, and they're finding it at a young age. So the radio has really grown and flourished the past 3 years in our school, from these tiny, a few kids being involved to the whole school's involved in a certain way because they're working on different projects to get their voice on the radio.
That's amazing. And you guys totally answered the question I was going to ask is, what is this appropriate for? Just high school? And, it's crazy sometimes when you give the young students, an opportunity to show what they can do. And all of a sudden they come up with these amazing projects and just, and they only didn't do it before because we didn't give them the opportunity to. Right. And so I love that. And we're going to actually bring in our first guest. You have a guest knocking at the door, and your first guest is one of my favorite people in the whole world. So I have known this guy for a couple years, and super, super amazing person. And I believe he's here representing WeVideo. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to bring Nathan on, add him to the stream. Hey, Nathan, how are you?
Hello, everyone. Congrats. So well, Manny. So good to see you. Congratulations, Bruce, Paula, and Randy. It's so wonderful to be here with you tonight. I know the feeling of having this book launch and book birthday is such a big deal. So to see all of the amazing work that you have put in this book, finally, you get to touch the actual physical book. It's so exciting. So I'm glad to spend a few minutes with you all tonight in celebration of your wonderful work.
Oh, that's so nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
So Nathan, what do you, so you obviously represent WeVideo. Tell me a little bit on what WeVideo had to do with the project.
Yeah, so when Bruce reached out, he shared with me the vision for the book and essentially about creating media in the classroom. And so he was looking at kind of this comprehensive picture of what that looks like. And with WeVideo, our mission is to help teachers and students be their most creative selves. So if you think about students creating video, with their phones and with their apps, a big example like TikTok is very popular with students, but with TikTok, they don't get the creative processes, the cognitive part of creating a video, which is what I love about WeVideo, because what you can do with that platform is that you can search for different kinds of media, either audio or video or stills, and you can use features like the green screen or dual capture, And there's a lot of different ways that you can create media in a creative way with WeVideo. So yeah, that was the kind of the contribution, the summary of the contribution I was able to make with Scripted. And I'm excited to see kind of how it all fits into the whole big picture of the book and how it connects to other technologies and tools you have listed in the book.
And for us, like WeVideo was a natural fit because the three of us all use WeVideo in the classroom. And I remember talking to Nathan last year at ISTE at the party that WeVideo like was having on a Sunday night, and we were kind of brainstorming what to do and what could be in the book. And you know, the three of us are really proud. We have WeVideo, Wakelet, and also Backbone Network in the book, but they've also written sections in the book. So Nathan actually has a section in the book what WeVideo and media could do for students and all the different skills and great projects. And it's been a great partnership with those three companies that not only do we use their products, but it's awesome that they contributed, you know, to the book from their point of view of what's going to be the future of video, Wakelet curation, and also radio. So thank you so much for writing a section in our book.
Yeah, I tell you what, I believe WeVideo was in my classroom was a game changer 3 or 4 years ago with video editing and video creation. It just simplified it to a point where it wasn't just the older kids. It's, you know, now I'm getting third and I'm going to try to push it down to 2nd grade this year with these kids uploading their vision and finding those stock footage that's in the copyright-free catalog and putting together their words and their videos. It was a complete game changer for my whole studio because the ease and the simplicity of taking their projects and putting them into our overall package. So I thank you, Nathan, because it's been a game changer.
And I would agree.
I think, yeah, go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say the Creative Commons aspect, that's what I think is so important for the students because so many of them don't think twice about copywriting and just going and grabbing pictures from anywhere. And the fact that WeVideo provides everything that's Creative Commons is teaching the students right at the beginning the right way to do things.
That is so great to hear. I love when I hear educators who are using it in their classrooms and talk about how it's transformed not only student creativity in the classroom. So our vision has always been helping students be self-directed learners, that they're curious learners, they're socially connected learners, and especially with our new features with real-time collaboration, we know that students want to work together in projects and they may want to work synchronously or asynchronously. But with the pandemic, what it showed us also that teachers want to be creative, and especially they had to transform their traditional in-person lessons to a lesson that would be engaging for at home or online or remote. And so now we have a whole, another set of uses, and teachers are creating instructional videos. So now we have students who are creating videos on a wide array of subjects. Now we have the teachers who are teaching English, math, social studies, science. No matter what subject they're teaching, they're creating instructional videos using WeVideo. So I'm really excited to hear that you found success with it, and we're honored to be a part of your book.
You know, and the thing with WeVideo for me, I've used it for the past 4 years, is as WeVideo has evolved and there are more Chromebooks, it's more than just creating videos that you could do screencasts. They added in, however you say it, animated GIFs or GIFs, whatever side of the fence you are on that, but animated GIFs or GIFs, but even podcasting you can do in WeVideo. And for me, it's become almost like Google Slides was like a Swiss Army knife that I could do anything in Google Slides, from making a yearbook to a slideshow or whatever. WeVideo has become the same thing. Like, I know I could go to that one tool, and if they're doing podcast, screencast, animated GIF, and or just make a regular video, everything is there in one place. So I think even for my own teacher workflow, it's much easier. The students were used to it. And just to piggyback on what Paula was saying, I really love how WeVideo has evolved, that in the beginning, there was no stock library. Like, you had to bring in your own media 4 or 5 years ago. Now they've really grown it of 100,000, 200,000. 4 years later, now they have 1 million royalty-free assets, and just not video. You can search for lower third, sounds, images, and there's 1 million assets. Every time I teach a class, I find new things as the kids are searching because there's so much in the royalty-free folder, which used to be called Essentials, now just royalty-free. So, and the other point, Nathan, you were saying, which especially for remote learning, I know a lot of high schools that were on standalone software, whatever it may be, and when the students left, they could no longer go to their computer at school, and more schools are going to Weave Video because it could work on any device. You can start on an iPad, you can continue on a Chromebook, as long as you log into your Google or Microsoft account. And that, not knowingly, I think from Weave Video, but that fits in perfectly to remote learning, that you can actually get to your project. And obviously, who knows what's going to happen in the fall, but from March to now, if the school's closed, you can't get to computer number one to your project if that's where it was stored.
It becomes a teacher's studio. It becomes a teacher's home studio is what it basically became for me to get our school news out and to put the package together. We Video was our studio. It was our final, put it in, let's put it together. It was very cool how it came out.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, Nathan, how much is We Video for teachers? Like, do you guys have a special for teachers or something, I heard?
Yeah, so any teacher listening can sign up for a free trial and try us out. The great part about our team is that we have regional people who work with local school districts, and so all those conversations happen at the local level. And so after teachers try We Video out for free and do the trial, then they can talk with our team members to find out what the best option is for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was such a pleasure to see you. I was so excited that you were coming on. So thank you for doing this for us. And this was your first guest to your party, you guys. This was a pretty big deal. So
I'm so honored that I could jump in the party, and I know others are waiting to jump in as well. So I will say again, congratulations, and I'm so excited to see your success. And we'll definitely be seeing each other on Zooms and Google Meets and all the other fun channels that we see each other on.
Nathan, thank you so much for contributing to the book and all the things We Video does. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Okay, that is awesome. I love that guy. So we are going to, let's do a little authors read. So authors reads are my favorite part. I don't know if anyone else likes them, but I'm the host, so this is what we do. So which one of you wants to do a short author read for us?
We're going to have ladies go first.
Ladies
Okay,
first.
that would be So what I'd like to introduce is that at the end of every chapter, we did something media related. I don't know if you can see it, but we did something like a take 1, take 2, take 3, and it was our way of summarizing a chapter. So I actually chose the community chapter. For me, I think one of the most important things is teaching students how to utilize their community. Building those relationships is really important at a very young age. Knowing the people in your community. So I'm going to read a little bit from this particular chapter. So this is that's a wrap. So this is providing students opportunities to engage with community and global organization is our responsibility if we are preparing them to be self-directed learners in a media-driven society. Ensuring that students are reaching authentic audiences outside the classroom walls and around the globe will benefit the world in the future. So take 1 from this chapter. Build community support through sponsorships and community awareness. And we talk about that in this particular chapter as how do you do that? Take 2, provide real-world experiences and authentic audiences for students. Look for opportunities within your community and globally. And finally, take 3, reach beyond the school walls and build a collaborative force of teachers and students who think critically and are self-directed learners. So this particular chapter is how do you engage your community and your global organizations and teaching students and providing them with real authentic audiences. I think it's we think it's really important in education to provide those authentic audiences for students, that people are listening, people are watching, and learn how to work with everybody. So that is from our global audience chapter.
I could hop on next with, I'm going to take the curriculum chapter. And the curriculum chapter is definitely the biggest chapter that we have in the book, writing our vision for the curriculum, but then also giving examples K through 12 of things that you could do tomorrow in your classroom, lessons that are in the book, rubrics that are in the book, everything that you'll need to do your lessons. And at the end of this chapter, we ended it with that's a wrap. One vision for digital media classroom: foster student development, critical thinking, literacy skills to be more informed, reflective, and engage participants in society. And I think it becomes real world now when it's remote, of this is how kids are going to be communicating and also creating media in the future. It doesn't matter what their job's going to be. Take one, embrace concept for your curriculum. There's more than one path. And I think that's a theme throughout the book, that there's not one correct way to do the curriculum, one correct way for hardware, software, and not every single person. The three of us do 3 completely different TV shows, and go on your own path and let the curriculum drive what software you're going to use, not the other way around. Second take is create digital media opportunities to perpetuate student curiosities. And again, this one with remote learning, there's so many ways that we want to spark students, and a lot of it might be curiosities that they don't do maybe inside, that they get outside, get offline, even if it's with a camera and they're recording something or reflecting, and really to tap into passion projects and what students like. Then the final one, integrate and promote creative thinking, and that ties into any type of media you're doing, if it's audio, video, anything. Just to show your creative side and your understanding of material. And if you could make any of these projects, even if they're, short 30-second projects they might start out with, it really shows an understanding if students can finish and create them. And I found, through my experience in the classroom, they really know the topic if they've spent weeks creating a 30-second PSA or a TV show or whatever it may be. They can definitely teach you the topic. And if they could teach it to you, for me, in my eyes, in our eyes, that's, they really have a good understanding of the curriculum.
Yeah, that's amazing. Randy.
Okay, so I got the equipment chapter, which, and that's a wrap, is many school-funded programs are on tight budgets when building their radio and television studios. So it's important to start small and add features as your studio grows. You may only need a computer or a device with capabilities to record audio and video. As your program expands, revisit your vision and add equipment as needed. Many of us started with just one device that had these functions. There are many low-cost Chromebooks, for example, that have a camera, microphone, and speakers built in. This might be a logical place to begin. And so we want to point out that, even if your budget's small, if you can get the smallest devices and create media and get it out. Our first take is it is essential to be able to solve the smallest equipment malfunction, know how to operate all your audio and video equipment. That's pretty essential as you start adding equipment. Really get to know it, because when you don't know the second you walk in, you could set up a studio and then 15 minutes later, something's not going right. You should be able to know pretty quickly before you go live where that correction would be made. And take 2, due diligence is essential when securing quotes for studio equipment. Do your research before you make these critical decisions. And hopefully we can help guide you through some of the research with our equipment chapter. And then take 3, revisit your studio vision often as you expand your pre-production, studio production, and control room production, audio and video needs. So it's a great chapter. We give pictures throughout the chapter of the different types of wires and the different equipment that you could possibly buy.
All right. So I have a question about the part that you just read. So let's pretend that I'm a teacher and I'm not tech savvy. And I'm like, this sounds amazing, but if you tell me I have to figure out what's going on, like I can barely check my email, right? Like, how am I going to be able to do that? What would you say to me?
If I told you, you're not tech savvy, the first thing I would say is read our book. Definitely. And then I would honestly, there's so many YouTube videos out there anymore that would walk you through step by step of how to use the different equipment that's out there, that would definitely be one of my first places to go for someone to answer a question. That would be the first place I would tell them to go, is YouTube for sure. Bruce, what would you?
Yeah, what I was going to say, especially in light of distance learning, whatever model anyone's going to be in the fall, I would ask Mandy or anyone, do you have a cell phone? And if you do, if you could press record, you could record audio on it before you even get to video. And then depending what type of teacher you would be, Mandy, like in what curriculum area, have the kids write a project about what they're studying and possibly do a 10 or 15-second recording, and you could put those together just like a simple audio recording.
It's all in our hands. A perfect example would be this spring. I got put on the team to put together our township's digital graduation, and the principal read 600 and something names, and there were probably 30 that he wanted to reread. Well, instead of us going back to the studio, getting to the equipment, we said, just read it into your phone. And he recorded the name in his phone. He sent me the file, and you could adjust it that quickly. So the tools are in your hands from the beginning. The small ones, and you just build up.
Sure.
And the other thing I would add too is, depending whatever grade level you're teaching, and I've done this myself, and I think Paula and Randy have done it too. Go ask the kids. Like, the kids are experts at using their phones with the equipment. They might not know how to deliver the content like you do. They're definitely not going to know that, but they might know the tools. And I always did this. I found the one or two students when I was in like elementary school teaching, and I would just say, okay, Paula, come up here. Can you show everybody how to use that microphone? And I might not even know how to use it myself, but if a student was able to do it, let them go show the other students. And in turn, then the teacher, like, slowly but surely can also learn from the students because they grew up with these tools.
And it makes the connections with the students as well. It could be difficult students, but if they're whizzes on the technology, and you give them the responsibility of teaching someone else, it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. Well, and first of all, I hate the term tech savvy. Like, to me, that term should be thrown away. But yet I hear those questions a lot, right? And not enough teachers go to their students for that type of stuff, because the only difference between a teacher who struggles with technology and a student that knows how to use it, is that students aren't afraid to push buttons. Mm-hmm. They're not afraid to touch it just to see what happens, mostly because it's not theirs if it blows up, but it's, they're not afraid to touch the buttons. Whereas a lot of teachers are afraid that, well, if I press that button, I don't know what's going to happen. That is typically the only difference between the kids and the teachers who struggle with technology. So I love that. Calling in the kids is the best answer. So we have a couple more people knocking at your doors, at your party door. So that's exciting. We are actually going to bring in, and I am super excited to meet them and hear how you say their names, because unfortunately I don't know how to say Rich and George's name, but we're going to bring them in.
It's George Capalbo and Rich Cerny.
Oh, thank you so much. So we're going to bring them in here.
Yeah, we really don't know how to pronounce our own names either.
Shoot, I was kind of counting on that when you guys got here.
So thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. So would you guys tell us a little bit about who you are?
All right,
sure.
You want to start, George, or would you like me to?
Go ahead, Rich.
All right. Well, we're the technology underpinnings for the internet radio that goes into the book, and we've been working with Paula for years, and George and I are old technology people from in the broadcast business, going back with fiber optics and television for many years, and George has done the Formula One virtual billboards, and we've just been in the remote broadcast business for just a long time, and this pandemic is really showing what the product will do. But not only being in the professional broadcast side, but we also host the largest network of college radio stations, and a lot of those now we've done that for the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System, which is a large a college radio association. And in that association, we now have high schools, and now we have a junior high, and that was Paula's junior high. And what amazed us, what amazed us is that she was doing things with the students that nobody else had done. We had so many universities that would just they'd let the kids get their iPods and sit back and just stream, and it was all music one after the other. It was like listening to their iTunes library. Well, we try to get more into the talk radio, so there's more there. And Paula had the kids doing things that nobody else that we've dealt with has done. And one of the things that blew us away was how she had her class self-funding the radio station when nobody else could figure out how to get money from the university. And universities are probably every bit as bad as municipalities in getting funding. She got the kids out there, and they sold sponsorships. They sold ice cream. They did car dealerships. They did everything. They brought money in every which way and paid for everything, including the equipment, as far as I recall. So that just really got our attention, and we said, okay, this is a model that we've got to figure out how to replicate. And I recall talking to Paula about, gee, you ought to write a book about this. And and I think somewhere here, yeah, we've got a book, and I am really blown away by the book as well. And I just think it's marvelous, because it's not just being theoretical. It's not just saying you ought to do this or that. It's taking it, as you say, a recipe, and turning that into step by step. Not only how do you do it, but how do you evaluate that? How do you find out if you're successful or not? What do you have to do? And your endings of your chapters and all of that. The whole methodology of putting this together is just fantastic. And I'm so excited. To us, being in the big broadcast business is great. It's like driving for the show. But when you get to schools, it's putting for the dough. There's so many more of them. And when we get into college radio, it's still, it's kind of haughty in a way. What we've wanted to do this whole time is really the holy grail for us is if we could get this into elementary schools where the kids can learn this technology early on, when they're at an age when they can absorb it. They can not only get the radio skills, but they can also get the communication skills that are so much easier to learn when they're young. It's like learning another language. Mm-hmm. And so this is great for us. And we figure from a commercial standpoint, it worked really well for Apple. And it can't hurt us to teach young. And so our part of our whole challenge has been to take what is it's a big time broadcast technology, and how do we miniaturize that and make it simple and make it affordable, and so that you don't have to buy equipment that keeps getting obsolete over years. And how do we make it so that everybody can afford it? And so our problem isn't scaling up like it is with many companies. Our problem is scaling down so that we can make it fit and make it very modular, and so that you can start small with radio, and then maybe take telephone calls, and maybe start to do collaborative broadcasts from everybody's home at the same time, and then bring video into it, and which that's not today, but maybe someday. And how do we do that in such a way that a lot of schools can afford it? So radio, or it just becomes part of the communication track, and put that in so the kids communicate and they find that they're doing something other than giving a show and tell in front of the class. They can do a show. and they have a product when it's all done. So,
and I can vouch for what Rich was saying. Is I've been in New York City when Paula's middle school kids beat out all the high school and college kids for awards. It's not pretty when you see like a 12 and 13-year-old beating you, and she has the hardware in her school to talk about it. So I totally vouch for that.
Right.
They did a how-to video on how to install our phone system, which basically was better than some pro stuff I've seen, to be honest. So, that's great stuff.
That is amazing. So cool.
So let me just say, in 2020, having a radio station that lives in the cloud that runs 24 hours a day, that can be remote from anywhere, plus the ability to do phone calls, plus the ability to bring in remote hosts that sound like they're in studio with you, turns out to be a useful thing. Even before or after, but it turns out to be really useful. So we've spent a lot of the last number of months getting our existing school set up to do remote broadcast. And as a matter of fact, today we just launched a AM sports station in San Diego, the Mighty 1090. It's powered by all our cloud tech, and it's going to be engineered from New York and Boston. So it's pretty cool stuff. The Daily Mail in the UK is
George
pandemic for months.
Wolfman Jack
out of their studio. Rich?
Wolfman Jack.
Wolfman Jack Station. This is the XERPS in Tijuana. This is Wolfman Jack Station from the 60s. So it covers all of Southern California sports. That's launching on Monday. So that's pretty cool. The Daily Mail in the UK has been doing a live to tape 3 times a day, a show from 3 different apartments around Greater London since March. And so we think we have a pretty interesting and rare technology, and certainly works great just in schools in general. Certainly Paula has done sports. She's had play-by-play, like young Howard Cosell and Brent Musburger doing the games and color play-by-play with sound, and just really using a laptop and some headphones and headsets like you're using, and some pretty accessible gear that's not expensive to do all that. And so that's basically what we do.
Well, this is election year, George, and we've got the primary, not the primaries, the conventions that are coming up real soon.
Right. We're actually doing virtual convention coverage with Franklin Pierce University from both conventions. I actually have credentials, but no one's actually going to the convention. So we're going to do it all. So we have people on the ground at the conventions that are going to come in over our phone-based application. We do a joint venture with a company in the Netherlands that makes a product called Lucy Live, which is essentially you sound like you're in studio, but you're on your phone. And it's two-way.
Very cool.
Latency. It's pretty cool. So we're doing that from both conventions starting next week, and then continue on.
Yeah, that's very cool. And it's so important to make these, like the stuff available for kids to be able to do, because honestly, I remember growing up with the radio. Like I remember growing up and roller skating in my front yard to WIXX, 101, and I remember the disc jockey. I remember so many things, but kids don't listen to the radio as much anymore. And so they wouldn't even have that kind of reference point. And so to be able to be from the back end and be able to actually produce something like that I feel like that feels like even a bigger deal, because because it's not something they're quite as familiar with, and it's such a valuable skill to have.
Well, you don't have to just pick one. It doesn't have to just be radio or just television. It could be podcasts. It could be on demand. And a lot of kids do listen to podcasts, which is radio, but it's just when they want it. And so that is just one of the byproducts of our radio station. So when you're doing your radio show, you can also be making your podcast at the same time. You list that, you publish that, and then that becomes an on-demand show. So it's all integrated there.
Yeah, that's very cool. And it's also like, I feel like there are specific characteristics of a podcast, specific qualities a podcast has to have that students need to know how to do. And there's specific qualities of a newscast or a radio show. And so knowing those is so
just following the script at an elementary level, putting together the script and having them read with the excitement, or read knowing what's coming next, sequential order, researching. My kids do radio shows where they'll research the artist and get a little bit of background information, play a couple songs from that artist, and in between the songs give background information about the artist. So it's getting them researching as well at a young level, and they can do it. My kids have proved it 5th and 6th grade, that they go in, sit down and on this show with this. And it's pretty easy for the 5th and 6th graders to follow and do that.
That's very cool. Very cool.
You were in New York, Randy, and you were pretty excited that your students were live on the radio. You weren't even there, and they're just doing their shows and having a good time, right? So it's fun stuff.
Very cool. Well, you guys, thank you, Rich and George. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you knocking on our door and joining our party. And
thanks for having us.
Congratulations. It's one thing to have the theory of how to do things, but it's another thing to actually be told, have idea how to actually go and do it. So this is a great book, and really
it is. Very excited. Very excited.
And before these guys leave too, really from the three of us, we thank them for their support. And in the book, they wrote a section. We're also going to have part of our website that we're going to be able to have a radio station on it to do a lot of the things that we're talking about, podcasting, different shows that we could play right from the website. And I'm a little bit jealous of these two, like over here, because I don't have a radio station at my school, but I actually went to school for broadcasting. So I'm excited to get on the website and start filling it up, with content. And it's amazing. I mean, to see what the kids do. And the final thing, and I think you guys have seen this before, Randy has his kids do records every Friday and be like DJs. So it's really, the kids can do a lot with it. And they enjoy it. They love it. Yeah.
Well, we put a page on Backbone, backbone.com. That's for the K-12. It's a support page for the book, and in there we discuss a few things about cost and objectives. But one of the things we want to do in there is also recommend some hardware packages so that people don't have to start shopping around and wondering, is this compatible with that? And so a few bundles that might be attractive to people at a reasonable cost. So maybe some refurbished units and like that. So,
and as a company, we actually are not just a website you go to or an email. We'll actually get on the phone with you and going online with meetings and help you get things set up. And I think Randy and Paula can attest to that.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. We do that for everybody.
That's amazing. And so you're putting these packages on backbone.com. That's kind of where they're going.
Yeah, it's not ready yet. We're still doing some negotiations, seeing if we can find some good deals. And but we're going to have a few things that could all go together, and that'll be the hardware side. Yeah, we figure the less hardware, the better. Do everything in the cloud. And so what we do is we virtualize what normally the old days you'd buy equipment. We don't like buying equipment. I used to be in hardware. Now I'm in software.
He's much happier. Trust me.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. We appreciate you.
Thank you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
All right. Awesome. That is so cool. What do you guys like? How are you guys feeling? Are you still excited? Or are you like?
I'm so excited. And the thing that comes through totally for me, and if it's StreamYard or anything else, and Paul and Randy know, is that these guys and gals are great people. And I think that's one of the things that we wrote about in the book is have a relationship with the people, whether it's WeVideo, Backbone, Wakelet, it's going to be coming up. And Paula and Randy could talk to this too, is all three, they give us phenomenal customer service that if we call them, we hear back either that day or the next day, the latest. And, we've kind of stayed with them because of the customer service along with their product being so good.
Sure. And that's so important. Customer service with ad tech companies is so important. Okay. So we have a couple more questions. So we're going to go back to some of the questions that you had for the book. So who is like, if I said, who's the audience for this book? What would you say to me?
I would say anyone. I would say all educators, teachers, and I honestly think even business related. I think a company that wants to do in-house video, audio, podcasting, radio, I think they can pick this book up and apply it right then. Yeah. My daughter's in the business world, and I was talking to her about it. And hello, Allie, if you're out there. And she's like, you're right, because most of the time they have to hire it out. What if you could just do it right in-house? And this book is really for anybody.
Yeah, and we really worked hard to make the lens of it for every single K through 12 teacher. And it really talks like educator to educator that I'm really proud of, and we are, that we didn't go and visit other schools to go write the book. Like, we wrote the book from our own experience of things that work, things that don't work. And I think when teachers go through this, that's really going to come through, that, in the book are all, different tables, sheets, planning sheets, writing sheets that we actually use with students every single day. And I think it's really going to talk to educators, and we tried to make it for everyone K through 12. So you don't need to have a radio or TV station to use the book at all. You could just start with audio projects and media projects. You don't necessarily have to go build that. You could and start small, but that's only a small part of the book.
Oh, very cool. All right. So you have your last guest knocking at your door. And so we're going to bring in Joe here in a second. So we're excited for Joe. Hey, Joe. Joe has been patiently waiting in the green room.
And listen, you need to introduce him as he's the AMLE Middle School Teacher of the Year for the country.
Oh, what?
Well,
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, congratulations. That is amazing. Congratulations, Joe.
You got to be in the right place at the right time, I guess.
That is very cool. So do you want to, besides that fantastic introduction, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I've been in the classroom 46 years, and I start year 47 in November. And I have to tell you that I saw this book when it was in the developmental stage. And I said to Bruce, this is a winner. The three of you have something that is so necessary in education. You have something that's readable, something that's not dripping with technology, where anyone who doesn't have a degree in technology will sit back and say, no, thank you. I'm going to need either 14 adults or a couple of middle schoolers to help me to interpret this. I like the way they put the book together because it's done with the audience in mind. I know you asked before, who's the audience? And when Paula said, well, basically everyone, I don't think she was way off base, because it's geared for anyone at any level of ability, any level of background. I think that you can pick this book up and appreciate it, whether you are just beginning your career, if you've been around a while, if you're a veteran and looking at a keyboard gives you chills. There are enough ways to be able to do, to do the things that you need to do. Bruce said something earlier about going to the kids and asking them for assistance whenever you do something. And that's so true. Both Bruce and I can only speak for the two of us, always reach out to our classes and ask, okay, who are the tech people in the room? Couple kids will raise their hands and one kid will kind of go like this. Usually the one kind of going like this is the one who knows the most.
Yeah, that's so true.
But you find out right away, and I have no qualms in the middle of a lesson saying, all right, we've got a tech problem. I need some expertise. Come up here and give me a hand. And so I think when the three of these, I'm going to call them brilliant authors, put this book together, they did so with that kind of vision in mind. We have a group of kids with some skills that they can bring to the table. We have some skills that we bring to the table, and it's not addition, it's not multiplication, it's synergy. It's pulling our resources together so the sum of the parts is worth more than its entirety. And that, I think, is the key. They've broken it down into such manageable pieces. They've sectioned it. They reminded you at the ends of chapters what you just saw. And they've kept it interesting. It doesn't read as a textbook would read. because that becomes boring after a while.
Especially when you're talking about tech sometimes.
It reads the way you want a book to read because you're looking for information. You don't have hours and hours to try to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
And for some, watching a YouTube video is a great way to research. For others, you could give them a book on hieroglyphics and they would understand that about as much as the YouTube video, because it's just words and sounds and shapes going in front of them and not much else. But putting it into a format that's understandable, I think, is the key. And they never lost sight of that. And I tell you that as somebody who writes, that it's so important that you never lose sight of your audience. You always maintain that connection with your audience. And the three of these individuals have done that and done it superbly.
That is amazing.
I stand in awe of their efforts. I've learned from them.
That is so kind. And what an endorsement too, because honestly, you could make a book like this where it's very boring and that it's a very technical and that it's very that could have been the case when you take on something like this, and to hear that it's made for anybody, for beginners or new teachers or veterans or whoever is an amazing endorsement to what they have pulled off in the scripted book. So that's so kind of you to say for scripted.
I'm speaking from the heart. I'm a very bad liar. I don't lie well at all. I don't know if I'm a certain way or something happens to me or whatever, but I was raised to tell the truth. And if sometimes it's painful, well, there are ways that you can tell the truth and not have it be as painful. You can make suggestions. But I think what these folks have done is absolutely incredible. It's taken me sometimes 46 years to figure out what they've known all along. And so I see what they're doing and I think, oh my gosh, that's what I did 20 years ago. I had no idea. I stumbled over that. The whole idea of letting the kids loose on the technology, I think, is brilliant. Mm-hmm. We had a situation a couple of years ago where for back to school night, I had the kids write a poem as our first assignment, and we read a story about going back to school in 7th grade, and I teach 7th grade language arts. So then we write a poem about our own first day in 7th grade. And we share those. They can put them in whatever format they like. And we didn't have time. And I thought, okay, time for a decision. Do I rush everything and end up with poor products and show parents that their children have the potential to write, but we've got a lot of work to do, which is not the message anyone wants to be sending out? Or do they pick their 2 best lines so far? And we did that. And one year we gave each kid a Google slide. And that was your 2 lines. And then another time we formatted it a different way. And we even gave it to a kid to format. But whatever the case may be, it's that interactive piece. Right. And I think that these 3 authors understand that part when they address their audience of teachers.
Yeah, I think the other thing Joe's talking about too, which I think all 3 of us in doing the book, had in, 3 separate schools, social, emotional learning, and wellness. There's nothing better than creating media and making somebody feel good if they could tell their story, whatever it may be, something that they created it. And I've seen it for years in my TV studio that you might have introverted, quiet kids, but you know what? They get in front of that camera and the camera goes on and they're relaxed as can be. And in a school where I teach is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, man, I'll have 6th grade teachers be like, that can't be that kid that I had 2 years ago who sat in the back and didn't say anything at all. And I think that's another big part, of this book. And, with social emotional learning, have kids create media, any type of media they're going to do. They're going to feel great about themselves. And, it's what Joe's talking about too, that they can step up and really help the teacher and help other students in the class too.
Sure.
You see, excuse me, that's teachers understanding their students. And that's teachers not forgetting what it's like to be a student. That's
Right.
so important, because as soon as you forget that, you put a distance between you, and that distance basically destroys any connectivity.
Yeah, it's similar when administrators forget what it's like to be a teacher. And if you've ever worked for an administrator who may have forgotten that role, it's that feeling of disconnect, of you don't quite understand me. And I think that same thing happens with kids when we forget what it's like to be a student. And it doesn't have to be, like, forget the stuff that's, oh, this generation this and this generation that. No, it's still just a kid, and if we remember that, we can kind of keep that connection. But Joe, it has been a pleasure talking to you. I could talk to you all day. I could keep going with this, but we've got 4 minutes left and we have to pick book winners yet. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate all of the amazing things you said about the Scripted Educators, and congratulations on your Teacher of the Nation. What is it? What is it even called? Best teacher.
National Educator of the Year.
Oh, that is like best teacher ever. So I'm pretty sure that's where that category falls. So congratulations.
I can keep going.
Thank you so much for being here, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you for featuring these 3 fine individuals.
Oh,
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
thanks. Bye-bye. Oh my gosh, I adore him.
Mandy, he's a gem. He's been teaching for 46 years. And I know we have 3 minutes left, but to tell you what a lifelong learner he is, he calls me yesterday in my car on my cell phone. He wants to edit something and we video, and how does he do it? And I'm like telling him over the phone, and he's a great guy. And we're lucky that he was one of our first readers of the book in the early stages. All 3 of us work with him, and we're just really lucky that we met Joe and was able to work with him.
Yeah, he's so amazing. I love him. Okay, so what I did is I scrolled through your comments, and I picked 2 random people who had participated with us today. And so we're going to it's Dr. Harves, Harves. So Dr. Harves, if you want to contact the Scripted Educators, how would you prefer they contact you?
Us? Mm-hmm. Oh, just through our email address, scriptededucators@gmail.com.
Okay, so scriptededucators@gmail.com. And Dr. Karen Jackson would be your other winner. So Dr. Karen, yeah, yay, congratulations. So Dr. Karen Jackson and Dr. Harves, if you could please contact the Scripted Educators at scriptededucators@gmail.com, and they will get to you. If you forget that, please contact us at EduMatch Books on Twitter, and we can get you that information as well. And so just a reminder to everybody that you can get bulk discounts at 10+ books. You can email Sarah Thomas at EduMatch at edumatch.org, and she will get you the bulk price for that. Just 10 books and up gives you a discount. So very cool. And what else do you guys like? We're gonna sign off. Do you guys have like a sign off? Do you have like the radio personalities do?
Did you have that Wakelet?
Our kids have.
Did you have that video from Midha at Wakelet?
Oh, yes, we do. Let's see if this is going to work.
Well, Mandy's getting that. Misbah, it's about 1:45 in the morning right now in the UK. So Misbah made us a fantastic message to be on the show that Mandy's going to queue up and play. And Wakelet's another company all 3 of us work with, a curation site where we have a lot of content on, which is incredible.
We're going to see if we can get this up here. So
there you go.
There we go.
All right. Hope that we can hear it.
I just want to send a huge congratulations to Paula, Randall, and Bruce. You guys are amazing. It is I share quite a personal bond with this book just because I've seen the journey happen from the beginning up until this point. So the fact that you guys are here is absolutely incredible. I think the movement that you're starting with this book is going to be so positive. I remember as a kid when I was in school, I wanted to do so many more creative things than what the traditional curriculum offered for me. And I had this burst of creativity which I tried to get out, but the school environment quite often wasn't the best place for me to do that. And I think that this book is going to help empower students who are like me, also teachers as well, to creative learning outcomes. So you can do everything you can with this book together. Lots of supplementary material again, congratulations, you guys have done an amazing job. I cannot wait to receive my hard copy recently. I'd love it.
He was Mandy. Can you just repeat some of the quick things he was saying? Because I think they're in your headphones. He was very low. It was hard to hear him.
All right. So it should have played into the. Did it play into the thing?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't play at all?
You could barely hear it.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure. I've never tried to play a video sharing my stream on StreamYard before. So he just said that it was an amazing job and that he's looking at Bruce for his hard copy and that he was super excited to be a part of this book. So that a super awesome guy. He's very, very sweet man.
Yeah, thank you for the recap because I saw your face. They were like, yeah, Mizba, and like we heard him, but it was really low, and we really thank it. I mean, all three of the companies are fantastic customer service, but Mizba has been helping us along the way, and we will have a Wakelet site to go with our website for the book, and the Wakelet site will be updated with all updated things on distance learning, green screen, some of the things that are not in the book, but they will be on the Wakelet site.
Okay. That is amazing. Well, thank you guys so much. And if you are looking to find Scripted, you can find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble right now. It's ready to go. So if you need it right now, which you probably do, you need to buy it right now. You need to go over to Amazon and you can get it in like a day. And then you'll have it and you'll be able to start planning for this year. So go do that right now. And I hope that congratulations, you guys. I'm so happy for you on your launch. And do your sign off. I'm going to say, this is Mandy Freilich, and I'm out.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. We can't wait to see what you create.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. Are we